So I have a couple of minutes. I'd be happy to take a question or a comment or suggestion or criticism, anything at all.
You guys want to do any of this?
No?
For both of you, how do you see, first of all, thank you both so much for being here today. It's really wonderful to get to hear from each of you. And I was wondering how you see the role of students changing in this and in coming election cycles.
I'd say you guys are critically important. You know, if we want to win the Republican election in June, I'm absolutely confident we can do it. And I know the Democrats are conservative in doing it as well. They've already started taking out ads against me on the web. We've had now 2 ads up, essentially campaigning against me, which is very unusual. So I think students are critically important because they're motivated in the base, getting young voters out there energized and interested in the positions that are important to you. Job creation is critically important. We have to create jobs in the private sector. We have to grow our way out of this economy through job creation. We've done it before. We saw it. We have now 90 million Americans who no longer report themselves as being part of a workforce. It's the highest percentage of people in our country since the waning days of Jimmy Carter. It was horrible back then. You guys won't remember it. I do. But I'll tell you this, Ronald Reagan found a course to get us out of there. We can get out of where we're at right now, and young people have to be energized, have to be motivated, and they have to be participating in terms of the solutions to their problems.
If you look at the last election cycle, when the Republicans got crushed, they got crushed by the minorities, by Latinos, 80-20, 70-30. And we got crushed by the youth. Big time. Not just here in Massachusetts, but all over the country. I think the Republican Party, in order to capture more of the youth vote, has got to realize that, it's a different America. It's a different youth growing up. Look, I've got young kids. My oldest is 13. We go around the table at night and we talk about, let's just take gay marriage, for instance. Now, people from a different generation may have a different view on gay marriage. But when you talk about the youth and the issues that are important to them, they're just basically common sense, what's fair. Unless the Republican Party starts moving towards a more inclusive party, and start talking about what we're for as opposed to what we're against, I think we're going to continue to lose the youth. And the youth is a huge part of the vote. They're getting more and more active, whether they're Republicans or Democrats or independents. And for us as Republicans, in order to engage the youth, we've got to understand what is going through the youth right now, what kind of upbringing, how the world's changing. And that's just one of the examples. The other part is conveying to you guys just how important this fiscal situation is. Now look, I'm fortunate, live the American dream and everything, and leave my job and run for the Senate and all that. But you've got Medicare, you've got Social Security, you've got all these programs that are supposed to be there for you when you hit retirement age. And I touched on it a little bit. Right now you're at a stage where you don't think you're ever going to get there. But trust me, I remember when I was in college 26 years ago, and I thought I'd never leave my 20s. 26 years flies by quick. Before you know it, you're 47, you got kids, you're approaching retirement age, 15, 20 years down the road, and you get more and more concerned about these programs. And what our concern is that we got to convince you guys that these programs are going to be around when you guys hit retirement age. And the only way we're going to do that is by fixing this fiscal situation right now. Because I think you guys have different views on what's really important, but one of the things that you share with the whole rest of the electorate is you want to make sure that you guys have a job when you graduate, that you're able to pay off your student loans, if you have student loans, which you probably will have, and that you've got a chance of the American dream, or what your specific American dream is. And if we stay on this path, you can see why the youth get disillusioned. Now think about this. In the Senate right now,
Excuse me, I gotta run, I apologize, I have a Fox TV interview, I have to do this pre-scheduled, so I really do appreciate the time you folks are giving to your interest in the Republican Party. We really welcome your support, and good luck to you in school. As I mentioned, I still have 2 kids in college, one going to school here in Boston, one going to school in Colorado, so the issues and concerns that you have are near and dear to my heart as well, so good luck to all of you, thank you.
what I was going to touch on is, when you look at the composition of the Senate right now, more than half of the Senate is either career politicians or lawyers. Since 9/11, we've had 2 million people serve in the military that have deployed overseas in a hostile area for the last 12 years. And right now in the Senate, we have one person who's a senator who was elected to the Congress post 9/11, who's a vet. Just think about that in terms of, you probably have friends and family that have served, and you see all the sacrifices, you've seen all the stuff in the news. A lot of the people that were there yesterday on this manhunt, all those law enforcement people, my guess is that 1/3 to 40% were vets. That's where they go to get their jobs. A lot of them go to those jobs when they come out of the military and they're there. Which is why you saw such a phenomenal job done yesterday. So, just keep that in mind. Yeah, got any more questions? Sure.
What's your take on that you just touched about the vets? I think this was the first election in history where we didn't have a veteran on either ticket.
On top of the president or vice president, you're absolutely right.
What do you think has contributed to that over the course of the years? Because it used to be, you needed to be a vet.
I think it's the first time since like the 1930s. I mean, it goes back 80 plus years. Where literally the first time that you saw on presidential and the vice presidential ticket for both parties, we didn't have one person who wore the uniform. Before you had, Al Gore worn it, George Bush had worn it, McCain had worn it, obviously, Dole, Ray. I mean, at least one person out of those 4 had worn the uniform, typically 2, maybe 3. I think it comes down to the following: is that you just have too many people that are just career politicians that stay in politics, and you don't have enough, like you guys can be running for Congress in 10 years. You want to stay involved, you got a good career going for you, but the problem is that you're going to run up against an incumbent who's literally been in politics. Like for instance, if I win the primary, I'll probably go against Ed Markey. To give you an idea of how long Ed Markey's been in office, I was playing Little League Baseball when Ed Markey first went to Congress. And I'm at least 25 years older than everybody here. He's been in Congress 37 years, 19th term in Congress. And when he got elected, he gave himself self-imposed term limits for 2 terms. I don't think he's got this word. Which is why I think you really need something like term limits. I think having something like term limits would deal with these career politicians, people who've been in politics for a good part of their life, more than half of their career. Because there are enough good people. There are people better, like I've got a fine bio and a fine background, and I've done well. But there are just as many people like me or better that could be running for Senate or Congress right now. A lot of them are like maybe right here in this room, down the road. But they get disaffected, they get disenfranchised, they see somebody who's been in Congress 40 years, and they feel it's not worth running. I mean, I give credit back there for, you ran against Markey, right?
Yeah, he was elected the year I was born.
Yeah, so you're born 76.
That gives you some perspective.
That gives you a perspective right there. And we need to change that. I think we need to start sending people down there that are not career politicians, that are not lawyers, that are not doing this, for a livelihood. We need to get back to, and it's very simple, we need to get back to what is effectively the citizen servant. Where you go down there, serve your time, you're done, you leave your post, you come back, and you make them come back and live under the laws they passed, live with the people of whom they serve, and maybe more importantly, maybe have them get a job with a company whose laws they impact. I think a senator should have 2 terms. I think a congressman should have 3. I think you have enough good people that if you're willing to run for office and go down there and do the right thing, and that would get rid of something. And I hope to God that's the last time in this election cycle, at least in my lifetime, that we have not one person on one of those top 4 that hasn't worn the uniform. I think it's a disgrace, personally.